Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, the 3rd of August, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. Specifically, the time and date were included in the publication of the annual meeting notice. The public notice and meeting agenda was posted on the municipal public bulletin board at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and documents can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings. Please take notice that pursuant to NJ Public Law 2025, Chapter 72, the complete text of each legal notice of the Township of Verona, including all public entities under the authority of the Township, may be obtained or viewed by the public on our official state registered webpage, veronanj.org/legal public notices. A public comment period will be held in the order it's listed on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Shore?
Present.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Here.
Councilman Roman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Present.
Mayor Tamburo?
Present.
Mayor also present tonight is Township Attorney Brian Aloya, Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, Deputy Township Manager Michael Kraus, myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kiernan.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Short Mayor's report this evening. First, I want to thank the Verona Fire Department for a quick stop to an electrical fire incident up in the Afterglow section. Once again, another good stop there, as well as the response into two other towns for working fires. It's been a pretty busy couple weeks for the fire department, so thank you for that. And I'd like to recognize our Deputy Town Manager, who has joined our fire department to help out and has been at several of those incidents. Like to thank the Township Administration and the Rec Department and DPW, Buildings and Grounds, Police Department, the Chamber of Commerce, and all of our sponsors for the great concerts we've had. We had the Eagles Band at the Civic Center 2 weeks ago, and last week we had the concert at the pool, which was really, really good and very entertaining. So thank you to everybody for helping put those on. We just got word from Assemblyman Bartlett's office that they've worked with our Township Administration and the Department of the Treasury to come out and provide another tax relief application program night. So we have a couple potential dates. We're just working on putting a facility together. So thank you to everybody for working on that. The last time we had this program, I think 80 people attended. So it's a great opportunity to show up there. And lastly, happy birthday to Deputy Mayor McAvoy. That was yesterday, right?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy once again turns 30.
Again.
And once again. And on to Mr. Coulter, our County Liaison. Jay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm glad Deputy Mayor is a lot older than I am. 30. In this summer season, we only have a couple of things going. On Tuesday, September 22nd at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Essex County Cody Arena, 516 Northfield Avenue, we have our Essex County Annual Senior Wellness. If anyone is looking for a ride, we do have senior transportation that day from the township. If you go to the county executive's website, you can also see that. And moving into September, we have September 11th, we have our memorial for 9/11. Usually it starts around 8 a.m. It's at Eagle Rock Reservation by the High Lawn, and it's on time. This is a year 25th. Sorry, I brought up the wrong one. 25th anniversary, and it's a significant day. Hopefully, we always remember 9/11 and people who sacrificed their lives. That being said, please come and join us on that particular day. If there's anything that we need or help them both in these events, please give me a call. But anything else, Mayor, Council? I spoke.
Okay, Councilman McGrath. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're the only councilwoman. So.
Oh, okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. I did take a walk yesterday at Verona Park. It seems like there's been a bit of storm damage. I'm sure you're seeing that from everywhere. There's some branches that are stuck in the river and can't go underneath the bridge. And there were other pieces of trees that had fallen a little bit more into the walkway. So I just wanted to bring that to
I'll be glad to relay that to Director Salvanti. And last week at our staff meeting, he did say that a lot of the parks were damaged because of wind. And last night we had another tough storm. So it's every other day right now.
Yeah.
It's ruining my golf game.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for the attention to that. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
I'm fine.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Coltrane, can you just repeat the day of the senior wellness? I'm sorry.
Senior wellness is let me go back to
I'm sorry, but
the screen and then I'll give it to you correctly. And I'll send you this email. It's September 22nd
Thank you.
at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Richard Cody Arena, 560 Northfield Avenue.
Thank you.
And I'll forward you both the manager and yourself while I'm sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you. On to Mr. O'Sullivan for the Township Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to work through the highlights of my report quickly, but I'll start with the Derwent and Brookside sewer lining project. Original notices went out for start of construction today for that project, but due to weather concerns, the start date has been pushed back to next Monday. Notices are being updated for those neighborhoods impacted. Our Fairview Avenue well project remains under construction. Site work and building construction are currently underway. The project still remains on schedule for completion this calendar year. Regarding the Montclair interconnection study, the feasibility study has been reviewed. There's some minor updates being performed. We will be meeting with Montclair week of August 24th to discuss the feasibility study and to start discussing cost sharing of the proposed solution. We are also working through our water and sewer rate study update. We have another progress meeting with NewGen on August 10th. We are expecting to provide recommendations to the council in the September-October timeframe prior to the first quarter of 2027. As far as we were just talking a little bit about the storms and flood damaging, we do still actively maintain our flood monitoring cameras and we use them during storms. While floodways have seen some of the severe rainstorms in recent months, the Peckman Stabilization Project near Bloomfield Avenue remains strong in each of the storms, and it is monitored in real time during each of those storms, as are all the other locations. But I think that the hard work on preventative tree maintenance, catch basin repairs, street sweeping, it has served the township well as we fared relatively well during some of the recent heavy storms. With Linden Avenue, we still don't have a firm paving schedule yet from the contractor, but we are coordinating for paving this month so we can get the paving complete prior to start of school. Notices will be circulated as soon as we do have a firm paving schedule from the contractor. Administration met with the Neighborhood Traffic Safety Committee on July 31st. We had some discussions on the complete and green streets policy and also on the initiative and the discussions with the county roads and the speed limits on them. We will be continuing to work with Boswell and the county on each of those initiatives, and we'll provide updates to the council when they are ready. Jumping ahead, we did receive an updated proposal from BIS Digital for our AVA upgrades that are necessary at the community center ballroom. We are finalizing the review of that proposal. We anticipate an order contract resolution on the August 17th agenda so we can move forward with the AVA upgrades in that room. With our Bloomfield Avenue streetscape project that remains under design, summer interns have continued public outreach to businesses within the project limits to educate and assemble questions and comments on the project so the design can incorporate as many of those comments as possible. It should be noted that the state has directed the township that the entire project from Fairview Avenue to Park Avenue must be bid and awarded as part of the grant agreement. We're hoping that we're able to split that project into 2 different phases. But the state has advised us that as part of that overall grant award, that they will expect us to award the entirety of the project. So when we do have a more advanced design and a better cost estimate on the project, there will be some local share that will be responsible to advance that project above the $1.5 million grant from the state. I'll defer on the discussion on Bloomfield Avenue to later in the agenda where we have an addendum for this evening. And regarding the building and the facility needs, each of the council members should have received their access to the facility audit tool, and we have received an executive summary from Solutions Architecture. It will be posted on the website as well. We also had a pre-construction meeting with our contractor that we awarded at the last council meeting for our ADA upgrades at the community center. We don't have a mobilization date yet, but the contractor is expecting, once they receive materials, it should be a 2 to 4 week total construction on the project. We do have, again, as part of our addendum, I'll defer the discussion on the emergency services building, but we'll have a discussion on the subject matter experts later in the meeting. And then the last item that I'll report on is the Peckman Park work. Boswell has recently submitted to DEP a wetlands letter of interpretation and associated notices to properties within 200 feet of the property. I understand that created some misunderstanding or confusion from those who received the notices. So administration sent a clarifying follow-up letter to the residents that received those notices to explain that letter and that intent was specifically to determine the wetlands that exist on the site for purposes of what potential permits may or may not be needed for recreational purposes, and to clarify that the site still remains deed restricted, as part of our open space inventory, and there's no development that is proposed on the site. Any project would simply be recreational in nature as required through the deed restriction. But that clarification and letter went out to the residents last week. I'll conclude my report unless there's any questions from the council.
So a comment and question. First of all, thank you for getting that clarifying letter out so quickly. There were some confused residents because of the legal and engineering ease in the letter that went out, and the township administration had a hand-delivered letter the next day. So the residents were actually reached out to thank me after reaching out to question and were worried that we were going to be developing something in their town, in their neighborhood or whatever. So thank you for getting that so quickly. Number one. And number two, do we have, I know I brought up with the presentation on the facilities audit, doing the DPW building. Has any discussions happened with Solutions on that? Or?
So I have had discussions with Solutions about the next steps of broadening that facility audit, that they need to incorporate the DPW garage. And part of the discussion is providing a greater focus on the next steps and next initiatives and next capital budget. So I have begun that discussion. We haven't scheduled a formal meeting with Solutions yet on those, but it was part of a discussion that I did have with them.
So in progress.
Yes, in progress, correct.
Okay, great. Any other questions for the township manager?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Shore, go ahead.
Thank you very much for your report. I just have a few questions on some of the recreational portion. For the pool for 2027, are we sticking to the same schedule as we did for this particular year with the pool rules, pricing, structure amendments, internal budget, so that this way that is all passed within the fall, and January 1st, we're coming out rolling with a registration process, not even just for the residents, but non-residents if we pass that again this year for 2027?
So the plan is to remain consistent with the schedule that we accomplished last year, adopting or making recommendations on pool rates in the fall of this year, so they're adopted, and we can roll open registration January 1st, like we did this year. The final recommendations and the ultimate, if there's any changes to any of the fees or hours of operation or any other of those specifics, we'll usually defer those recommendations until we've concluded the pool season. We've learned from any issues that might have occurred during the pool season and incorporate those concerns as part of a recommendation at the conclusion of the pool season and exit interviews with each of the pool managers.
And on top of that, the marketing committee that was set up for the pool, will those initiatives also take place, or a report will be with the budget, with the marketing, with the registration strategies? Because I feel like, we've had this marketing group for the last year, and the one area for the pool that probably didn't do well this year was reaching the 745 of residents, family residents being able to go over, because the year before was 815. That's one area to where maybe marketing strategies and social media can help us increase that revenue, so that we're doing a great job this year financially, but years going there, you have additional surplus to help fund savings and help other capital projects for the pool.
Sure. The pool marketing committee has met several times. There's been subcommittees of the marketing committee as well that have met in smaller groups. There will be a summary when we're making our recommendations, a summary on recommendations that have come through the marketing committee and any efforts that have advanced through the 2026 pool season, and efforts and next steps for the 2027 pool season. That will be part of that post pool season summary and recommendation.
Sorry, just one more question on, I didn't really read too much about it, but the playgrounds program, which was really fantastic this year. What are our changes for next year? What are our strategies? Is it similar to the pool, where we're going to do registration a lot earlier to try to bring in that cash flow, but also looking at the rates, and what are some of the concerns? I mean, for me, last week I visited the school program, the camp program at Brookdale, and I felt that, maybe some of the fees, maybe some of the additional revenue, or the additional monies that we can put in, can have better quality, but also have better performance, and also making sure the kids are safe within our programs.
Sure. So the summer camp will receive a post camp analysis as well. We don't have the full expenditure reports yet. The final payrolls haven't been processed for the last week of the camp. However, there will be an analysis of the revenues versus expenditures for running the program. I will say, I don't know if early registration is necessarily an issue. The camp typically sells out pretty quickly. I think it's almost more of a concern on the other side, where, because the cost is as affordable as it is, we often have a hard time balancing the staffing needs with the interest in the camp. So we are going to make recommendations in the coming year about staffing levels, probably some more experienced or senior level staffing to provide some additional supervisory support in the camps. Those additional costs will come with potential recommendations on increased rates for the camp itself.
And just one more on Everett Field, just to follow up from last time. Everett Field and other public parks and fields, are those, what's the status of being open to the public? Because they are Verona fields, and I know there's we want to make sure there's safety of, we want to make sure the grass is not torn up, and where they're safe on some of our fields, but usually we want to have it as open as possible for the public. So just a status on that.
You're right. We have discussed this previously, and the administration is working with both the recreation office, and the staffing that we can provide to that field. It is a bit of a balancing in getting the field open, getting punch list items completed. We are going through that process now, getting the landscaper and the lawn expert together to make sure that they understand how that grass is operating and making sure that they can maintain it properly. We will be looking to provide some family hours in the fall as we work through these final punch list items, and we let the landscaper get themselves caught up on the lawn and make sure that the field is maintained as best as it can be. The balance of that will again be making sure that we can staff it properly to make sure that the investment in the field is protected, and that we have some supervisory staff that can also visit the field occasionally, like we have at our other recreation complexes, because that is a concern, to make sure that we protect our investment there as well.
Thank you, Mr. Ozawa. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Shore. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you, Mayor. Just some follow-up points to Councilman Shore's points about the camp. I do think early registration, I just want to add my support on moving that registration for that camp way up. I mean, parents do register for camps much earlier than our camp is out. In addition, this year, the dates of the camp shifted. I did receive a complaint from a parent on that. And I think that was because of the desire to hire experienced staffing. So the entire camp was shifted. So we had this week after school was out where the camp was not open, and it opened a week later. That is a really big deal for parents. And so if that is the decision going forward, that because Verona's schools get out so early and they're hiring people from other districts that are still, employed teachers in particular, and they can't start that camp the Monday after school is over, that needs to be communicated very early to parents, because they're the customers ultimately. That leads into my point that I make every year. I hope that there is a survey that's going out to the parents to get detailed feedback, both qualitative and quantitative. And it would be great for the council to see an executive summary of that and how those survey results are going to be incorporated into change of operations, along, of course, with your staff's recommendations. And then related to summer programming, this year, the schools start very early, before Labor Day. I was wondering if anyone's thought through the pool schedule for the last week of August, because there may be no lifeguards. And normally we say, the pool's open until Labor Day, but the schools are starting the Wednesday of that week before Labor Day. So I think we just need to be transparent with the public. When will the pool be open? That last week of August and Labor Day weekend. I don't know if we thought that through.
I know. I want to.
I have a proposed schedule from.
Okay, good. All right, good. So someone thought of it, because it caught me off guard.
It was picked up a few months ago, and the pool manager has been reaching out to lifeguards and other staff to make sure they're available.
Yeah, and listen, I think the public understands that the staff is all students for the most part. And I think that was all of my comments. So thank you so much on your report.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Mr. Kraus?
Thank you. On our facilities, the Fire Prevention Bureau is developing building evacuation plans. They haven't been updated in a very long time, and there was a fire at a neighboring municipality's community center, which triggered the discussion on that. Up at the community center, there are still incidents of people vandalizing bathrooms. We are in the process of installing additional security cameras throughout the building to monitor who is going in and out of different areas. At the wastewater treatment plant, we have signed the agreement for construction of the freestanding garage that was authorized with this year's capital. There is also a vendor selected to do the concrete pad. This week, we will be posting 2 jobs, a building maintenance repair, who will be in buildings and grounds where there was a resignation. And at the wastewater treatment plant, we'll be continuing to increase staffing there. For insurance, the administration continues to speak with Harmony, RX, and employees and union representatives. To the best of our knowledge, all issues that have been raised are addressed with either the employee directly or their union president within 24 to 48 hours. At the pool, this morning the count was 8 tables still had to be assembled and brought to the pool. I don't know how much progress they made on that throughout the day. No tables have been removed. We received our final reimbursement for the age-friendly grant program, and we have had several meetings about implementing some smaller recommendations like shovel out seniors, a walking club. There are inclusive healthy communities needs assessment survey focus groups on August 4th and 11th. I believe the PIO has publicized that along with their locations. With the Shade Tree Commission, we have submitted our final paperwork for the Green Communities grant, which funded the tree inventory and community forestry management plan. Administration also met with the Shade Tree Commission to discuss future road projects, how the trees may be impacted, and reaching out to residents earlier in the process of where their trees might be impacted by road work or sidewalk work. Sustainable Verona continues to reach out to residential and commercial entities and houses of worship. They did receive a $10,000 grant for a compost pilot program. The sites where the composting toters are going to be placed will be determined in the coming days. As the mayor mentioned, the Verona Fire Department has been busy over the last week. Also, the Verona Rescue Squad during the electrical fire on July 24th, they staffed the fire with rehab and answered all calls for service within town without needing mutual aid. I believe there were 3 or 4 calls during that time.
At least 3.
They are also finalizing the build of their new ambulance that was authorized. Lead time, I believe, is 24 to 30 months to get the ambulance built. On the pool front, revenue has ticked up to $1,044,150. Miscellaneous revenue continues to climb. As you may remember, the total anticipated revenue, which included $145,000 of fund balance, was $1,030,000. And memberships continue to grow. I believe we picked up 2 family memberships last week. Expenses were emailed to you. The largest part of that, which would have been the July 31st payroll, was not posted at the time that the export was run. But once that is posted, you'll get an updated report. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputy manager? There we go. Move on to Councilwoman.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. On this Shovel Out Seniors program, there is a robust program in Fairlawn, and the Multicultural Inclusion and Accessibility Advisory Committee actually interviewed the woman who started the Fairlawn program. So I was just going through my emails. I'm going to send you, if it's appropriate, or send you both, the summary from one of our volunteers there. And you may want to reach out to her to reach out to Fairlawn, because they developed a very robust program that encompassed more than just shoveling, but may have started there. And so we can have a lot of good learnings from that, town that already kind of went through all of this. Some of it may be summarized in this email. So I just wanted to make sure I let you both know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I have really nothing but thanks for everybody and their birthday wishes, and that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Councilman Roman.
Thank you. I just want to say I've reviewed the revised proposal for the community center ballroom sound system. Thank you for putting that together. That looks good. The additions that were made to it were monitors that face the audience so that the public could see sets of plans. Some more different wireless microphone system just to avoid tripping hazards, and additional presentation input so that when attorneys and other applicants come to do a presentation, it works out a little better. So this looks like this should work. So thank you. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your expertise. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. My only statement tonight is I want to send condolences to former Councilwoman Holland on the passing of her father. I was really saddened to hear this, and I did connect with her today, and she thanks our clerk, Ms. Kiernan, for her condolences and for sending flowers to her father's funeral. So I do pass my condolences on to the entire Holland family, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Shaw.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. The MIAC committee, there's no meeting in July, but I look forward to the first meeting in August as the liaison to this position. So I'm excited to get into it. I have been attending Disability Advisory Committee meetings as we attempt to collect much of the data as possible for this potential project, and I've been getting involved as much as possible. The next rec committee meeting is not until September, but I wanted to really focus on 3 particular areas within the rec department that I'm very proud of. One is as I said before, is the Verona playground camp. The second, my wife has played in this previously, is the Women's Softball League. They had 10 teams this year, over 200 players in this league. And I remember my first year as part of the recreational committee of really trying to get this league going. And I know this year I kept saying to the recreational department, when's registration? And finally, things seem to be going pretty well. And I look forward to this league continuing to prosper over the next couple of years. It's really a great thing for women in our community. Obviously, the community pool is something that I cherish very much over the last couple of years. I want to thank the entire staff, from the managers to the lifeguards. I love going to the pool and seeing our managers walk around the pool and really try to attend to our membership. It's really a great thing to see, from Director of Community Services to our managers to our rec director. Great concerts, wonderful programming at night, group swim lessons. Finances are looking really, really good. And I just want to say, for next year after Labor Day, I really want to see a music festival or a Verona stock. That's something I definitely want to see happening at the pool. Maybe have the high school band there and some really good concerts at the pool, because I think we're really on a roll. So, a reminder that the recreational registration for program starts on August 5th. So you can do that at Community Pass. So things are looking good, and that's my report. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Shore. This time we'll open for public comment on any matter any member of the public wishes to bring forth. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public participation statement?
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter? If you're attending by Zoom, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. If you're dialing in by phone, press *9. If you're attending in person, please raise your hand and be acknowledged before approaching the lectern. Once recognized, clearly state only your name and township of residence for the record. You're not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the township's YouTube channel, and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council. There'll be no cross dialogue during this public portion. And after everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may address your comments and/or questions.
You can come up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about my business.
Just state your name. And
Martha
your town
Peralta.
residence.
And my business is in Verona. I have a proposed agreement, and I just want to share a little bit of what it is that we do here in Verona. We do theme parties, specifically, and most popular is our princess theme. We also do other themes as well. We do experiences that are open to the public, and we invite mainly mothers and their children. We also do some theme parties for baby showers and bridal showers, all themed, fully curated. And we did ask permission to the town to allow us to do exactly that, hosted theme parties. And then we also asked to provide limited on-site food, not only for our events, but also to the general public. We opened the cafe as part of a marketing tool as well. So this way everybody could come in, they could see what it is that we offer. We sometimes have our princesses pop in and do like a little surprise visits for the children and their parents. And basically that is our business. We were in Bloomfield in a beautiful Victorian home right on Broad Street for 11 years. And then when the building was sold, we found the location right across the street where we are now. So I think that's everything that I want to share. The community of Verona definitely welcomed us with open arms, and we were very happy to be here. So I would love to be able, we are filing for a use variance, and we would love to be open in the interim while we wait for that. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'll take them.
You can give those to the clerk, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Okay.
It's okay, we'll pass it.
Really not supposed
That's
to.
okay.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Chasnow, and I live in Verona. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share a few words this evening. My primary topic is the new emergency services building. I live at Claridge 1 Claridge Drive, also known as CH1, and my concerns focus on noise. I have spoken with at least 20 other building residents who have similar concerns. First, I bring your attention to the drawing I would like that you have now in front of you. You'll see the outline of Claridge 1 right in the middle of the piece of paper. This rendering is currently posted on Verona's website. At least 74 apartments of the 274 in Claridge 1 face directly toward the site of the newly proposed building. And the curvature of the front of our building is such that sounds could likely bounce into the center of it and then amplify the sounds. In the fall of 2025, I asked our board, the CH1 board, about the status of the town's proposed new police fire department building at one of our membership meetings. Unfortunately, none of the board members had any information about it at the time. One board member, in fact, indicated that, quote unquote, this is outside the scope of the CH1 board responsibilities. And so I am here today. I'd like to know if a noise assessment has been done, including the average current noise generated, including decibel levels and frequencies from the several current locations of the police and fire departments that will be consolidated. If a noise assessment has been done, how would I obtain a copy of it? I would also like to know if an environmental impact document is available, including the decibel levels and frequencies of noise anticipated at the new facility's current proposed site. Does a document exist that will let us know what the noise impact of this project will be on the surrounding community? And if this does exist, how might I receive a copy of it? There will inevitably be a new noise factor imposed on many residents of Claridge 1 and likely even some at Claridge 2. I would like to know what steps you're taking to mitigate the increase in noise, as it will impact CH1 and to a lesser extent CH2. Again, looking at the drawing in front of you, it would appear that the proposal is for deciduous trees as they've been placed on your piece of paper. That is, trees that drop all of their leaves in the winter. And there is only a single row of those trees. I would like to propose that you consider the following changes to create a more effective noise barrier. A design needs to be created to plant at least 2 rows of large, fast-growing, mature evergreen trees surrounding the rear of the new building or buildings complex. 3 varieties of trees that have been recommended to me by professionals for this purpose are 1, green giant arborvitae, 2, Norway spruce, and 3, red cedar. Experienced tree services or
Joanne, I'm sorry, your time has expired for this round, but there's another public comment session
I
later
was
in the meeting.
just winding up to say that tree services or landscape architects could provide you with more expertise. And thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. At this time, I close public comment. Joanna, I will respond. One thing I want to point out is that this is a concept drawing. This isn't a final drawing or anything like that. And all those things are being taken into consideration. I know other residents in the area had articulated some concerns about noise, especially when the rescue squad was part of this plan. I think this actually includes, this is the version of the plan that, yes, includes bays for the rescue squad also. Mm-hmm. With only the fire department, the police department there, the amount of noise will not be significant. The fire department does about 300 responses a year, which is on average less than 1 a day. And often they're not taking more than 1 piece of apparatus out of the building. In fact, on a lot of the calls, the apparatus are actually canceled before they even leave the bays, so the noise is low. And for a police department, because they're typically on patrol when responding to calls, there isn't a whole lot of siren noise coming out of the actual police building on a daily basis. So we have gone over that in some of the meetings, but there aren't really a lot of circumstances unless there was some catastrophic event that affected a big part of town that you would see a large number of police cars and stuff respond from that building, plus the entire fire department or something like that. And in that circumstance, there would be a lot of other problems at the time to deal with. As far as, has there been a report specifically on the noise from each of these buildings? There has not been. They're generally, it's part and parcel of what happens. But I can tell you, the township administration could tell you what the noise is around having the police department there. Mr. O'Sullivan's and Mr. Krause's offices are directly adjacent to where the police cars come and go. And I don't think we have anything from that. But as far as plantings and a barrier, we have had meetings on the concept. We did bring up having some pretty good plantings on the border in order to absorb some of that sound. The other thing is, at this point, the garages and things like that are facing away. That may not be exactly what the final plan looks like, but everything that can be done will be done to mitigate that, because they're even closer neighbors on the Claridges, right, that are there. So I think our administration, our architects understand that this is being put in a place that has some commercial and some residential. And if this is where both of these facilities end up, I know that there would be an effort to make sure that the neighborhoods are thought of, and that has been high, at least on our priorities, to make sure that happens. Councilman Roman actually lives in a property adjacent to that building, so he can't comment on it, but he literally is one of the closest neighbors to that building, and we would like him to speak to us. So we will make sure that that is being taken care of as well. But as far as the environmental reports, there has been some work. If you email the township administration or the clerk, they can help you get what we have. A lot of it's posted online, but if there's a specific document, Mrs. Kiernan can help you get what has been created that is public record, and we'd be happy to help you figure it out. I know it's hard to ask for something if you don't know it exists, which is how Oprah works, but we also are willing to help you figure out what you need to request. And I hope that answers your questions on that. All right, moving on to, we have one ordinance for adoption. Madam Clerk, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 2026-28. Please read the title of this ordinance into the record.
Fixing the salary and compensation for the supervising sewage plant operator.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is by Councilman Shore. This time, I'll open public hearing on ordinance 2026-28. Same public comment statement applies. Comments are limited only to the sewage treatment plant operator salary ordinance. Okay. Hearing no public comment, I close public comment. Council discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Shore.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Councilman Roman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2026-28 will be published on the township website according to law.
All right. Next, we have the consent agenda, which includes 2 sets of minutes and 7 resolutions. Councilwoman McGrath, you want to pull K2, I'm assuming?
Yes, thank you.
My clairvoyance is working today. Anybody else? All right. Would somebody please move K1 and L1 through L7?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
it. You made the motion.
I did.
The deputy mayor seconds it. All right. At this time, open for public comment on any of the consent agenda items, including both sets of minutes. Same public comment statement applies. Hearing none, I close public comment. Any council discussion on K1 and L1 through L7? I'll just make one comment. I'm glad to be part of the national opioid settlement. It's definitely not enough, but it is something. And I just want to thank our police officers and our rescue squad members, especially, who have seen the effects of the opioid epidemic in America firsthand, and have had to deal with some very serious calls, overdoses, deaths, and some very difficult ones. So I thank them for their part in that. I wish that there could be enough money from the settlement to help heal some of those traumas that our staff have experienced and the people of the town have experienced. But in the meantime, I would be happy to take that money. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Shore.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes.
Councilman Roman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, L1 through L7 will be numbered 175 through and including 181.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move K2, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by Councilman Roman. Any discussion on K2?
So just to be clear, I'll be abstaining from the second part of the, there's 2 minutes, sets of minutes?
One.
Yeah, one is
That's the
K1,
first
one is
off the
K2.
list.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Shore, sorry.
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Abstain.
Councilman Roman.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, minutes pass, vote 4-0, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Moving on to our addendum for new business. First item on the agenda is a discussion of downtown businesses and how we can support them. Just by way of background, I've asked for this item to be on as something that this council, and when I say this council, I mean the past council and now Mr. Shore has worked on throughout the years in order to strengthen our downtown, to attract businesses, to work with businesses. And I think everybody up here is committed to that. A while back, I sent a number of discussion items to Mr. O'Sullivan and to the council, and just some ideas to start having a conversation on what we can ordain, what we can do to support. So I did just want to go through a couple of those things. And the final one that we would have is the tax payment. Let me pull that email up. And Mr. O'Sullivan can just give a little background maybe on, if you have that email, if you want to.
I summarized your email in part of my report, so
Okay.
I'll read from my report. But there are a number of different categories of initiatives that some of which we had begun undertaking and looking to push out to the public. Some of which were good recommendations that we need to start moving forward with. But one of the items that was addressed was some expanded public information. One of those is to publicize the amendments to the town center zone, which were adopted earlier this year. I think some of the changes were lost in the affordable housing discussions. So the expanded uses that were also pulled into that town center zoning update are something that we will look to publicize to the public, to educate the public on different opportunities and uses that are allowed in the town center zoning. Similarly, in educating the public and trying to work with public outreach, we are creating a more simplified one-page roadmap kind of landing page for quote unquote doing business in Verona. It would be a website that we will also look to promote through different public information channels, but it will provide outreach to the public and to potential business owners and property owners on a simplified way of going through both zoning and construction permitting process. So there's a clear understanding of what offices, what permits are required for different types of uses. And we are currently working through that with both construction, zoning office, and public information office. Kind of similar to the review that was, or the update to the town center zoning, we have been working with the township planner on recommendations for similar kinds of zoning amendments in other commercial locations, which include the ETC zones, which is our extended town center, and our C2 zones. There are some recommendations that the township planner is ready to present. Some of them she is still working on making recommendations for, but she will be coming to speak to the council on suggested recommendations to allow for some expanded uses in those other zones in a similar manner and a similar open discussion that took place for the town center zoning. One of the efforts that we will be looking to do is a full assessment and almost a study of existing commercial vacancies within the township and within the Bloomfield Avenue corridor. That will serve a number of benefits, but having a vacancy log for our Bloomfield Avenue corridor will help serve the first responders who might need to respond there. It'll help us to stay on top of and keep track of property maintenance issues that may exist with some of these vacant properties. And it will also allow us to get a better handle on which properties and which zones might need more attention or specific outreach to some of the key stakeholders. Once we have that vacancy log, we can then provide some outreach to current landlords or property owners and any realtors that might be in commercial sector of placing renters into those properties. we'll provide some outreach. We'll try to educate them on not just the existing zoning, but also to get some understanding of if they have ideas of what zoning suggestions might exist or what challenges they're facing, just to get a better understanding of the vacancies that exist and the challenges that they're incurring in trying to place tenants into those properties. In coordination with all of those efforts, we've already been meeting with certain providers who perform assessments of they assess market trends, market demands, purchasing needs, gaps in the market within the township. There are some vendors that provide that software solution to the township. We are also going to pursue and get a better understanding if there are professional consultants that can step in and provide that service directly to the township rather than acquiring the software solution itself. But it is an effort that we are working with, and the commercial vacancy log will assist us in reviewing those needs. One of the other items that was suggested was continued outreach with the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce has come in to meet with the administration periodically over the past couple of years. We will look to reciprocate that relationship and attend some of the Chamber of Commerce meetings more regularly as well, just to make sure that we have an open dialogue with the Chamber on events that are occurring within the township and on Bloomfield Avenue and any particular areas of concern that might need additional attention. The one last item that I actually I think I failed to put into my report, but was a suggestion, was to look at the possible expansion of either evening hours from the zoning office or the construction office, either once a week, once a month, something along those lines, to provide a more available offering to the public on questions they might have regarding potential businesses or expansion of their businesses or changes of uses of their business. Those are a number of initiatives. A lot of them are moving in parallel with each other, but we are working through each of those together. And we are also reviewing later tonight the discussion of a short-term tax abatement for the Bloomfield Avenue corridor as well. I'll pause for a second if there's any additional.
No, sorry. I thank you for that. I know I sent you a long list. Going to the item where we have evening hours or whatever. My point on that is what I hope is that we can have in one room the zoning official, the construction official, fire prevention, and somebody from administration, all in the same place at the same time, so that people have a one-stop shop to be able to show up and ask questions. And whether we do it at night, which is fine, or we do it at some point during the day, or alternate monthly or whatever. I think that really helps because we have offices in different places. At this point, we're actually, you have staff in 3 different offices that you're trying to talk to, and fire prevention's offices aren't really open to the public, so they have to make an effort to go out and talk to other people and stuff like that. So I think that would be helpful, just to have everybody in one room at one time, and see if we can schedule that, which would be good. As far as all the other things, I appreciate your comments on getting a flow together, getting the business directory up and going. We do a lot for business in this town, and one of the things that we can always do better is publicizing what we are doing. I think our streetscape project is a big example of that, and getting that out there as well. Putting in a prospectus packet. What is it like to come into Verona? Would be helpful. Some materials that we can get out to landlords, to realtors. We have a really good, solid group of local realtors, but as I'm walking down Bloomfield Avenue, what I'm noticing is a lot of the realtors that are posting some of these properties they're all out of town realtors. So landlords are not often using Verona knowledgeable realtors. And that's something that I think even just some outreach from the PIO, this is, hey, we see that you're listing a property. Here's our packet. Here's our prospectus. This is who to talk to. These are the dates you have. might help the realtors and the landlords on that. One of the problems that we always face is a lot of our landlords are not local either. And they own property here, but they might live in Florida or some out of state. So trying to also get a really good landlord directory with numbers and stuff like that. Oftentimes the only time we see landlords is during enforcement for, stone falling off the building or something like that. So that would be definitely helpful as well. And I think there's a definite opportunity to have a consultant that works with the town and works with potential businesses to make those connections. And I know, Mr. Sullivan, you talked about the software option, toolkit option. I think having a human is really important as well. Somebody that can kind of do soup to nuts, work with the realtors, work with the existing business community. It doesn't have to be a full-time person. But because our tax revenue is based on occupancy, spending a little bit extra money on this, we can actually pay ourselves back when those occupancies increase. So it's not like it's a huge added expense either as well. Just some thoughts on there, and I appreciate. We'll talk about the downtown the tax abatement in a little while, but I think those are just some of the quick, easy things that we can do that can really help. But those, I sent a long list and you respond to all of them, but so I don't need to rehash what we already discussed. But I do appreciate, number one, your very quick response to me, and also having some information ready. But I'd like to obviously hear from any other council members that have ideas that we can add. Councilman Roman?
I think.
Well, I've really got a turn.
Okay.
Councilman Roman?
Sure. So we've kind of, this has been a recurring theme over the time that I've been on the council here. And, we had a pretty successful initiative at one point in time, again, having sort of a single point of contact for businesses that worked out really well. One of my concerns has always been the building stock in downtown. When you look at towns that have very vibrant downtowns, their buildings tend to look a little different than some of our older retail buildings. And that's one of the areas where I feel like people may not know what is allowable under the zoning ordinances to do with the downtown buildings, what the possibilities are for redevelopment, and what the zoning ordinance permits. And providing some sort of one pager for that or some other sort of guide might help people see the possibilities as to how you could improve or redevelop or otherwise upgrade one of these buildings. Obviously, I agree as well that a short-term tax abatement would be very helpful, but that's always been one of my targets, is to have a more modernized and cohesive looking downtown and be able to take some of the properties that haven't seen attention in a very long time and offer an opportunity for their upgrade.
Thank you. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I want to thank Mr. O'Sullivan and your administration for seriously considering and incorporating a lot of the suggestions I emailed over on July 17th. I'm really excited to see many of these ideas being put into action. I do want to highlight that I think there's an untapped opportunity for us when we get some of these things aligned to go to Chamber of Commerce. Commerce is not just in Verona's Chamber of Commerce, but there's a West Essex and also statewide Hispanic and African American Chamber of Commerce. I went to a downtown New Jersey conference not that long ago, and they were on a panel speaking. It was really fascinating, and they were saying to the participants they want to be invited into communities because they have individuals that want to set up businesses. And so it is a matching, as the mayor said, of the space to the business need. I had also sent over to your administration and team. I do think we need to get a lot faster with incorporating small but impactful zoning changes or changes to our code. For example, we've had sidewalk cafes on Mr. Krause's summary for maybe over a year. Let's make that fix and move on. Let's talk about signage, which I think is a pain point for some of the businesses, and the look and feel of the downtown. And it is that circle of feedback from the zoning officer, from the Board of Adjustment, to the council, to our planner, and administration, then to the council, and then starting that process of ordinance change and development. But I think the mayor's ideas are on point. I think the things that we've discussed, I'm really happy to see implemented or starting to. And I do think this is a work stream that is important for the vitality of our town. I agree with Councilman Roman. We have, just to conclude, we have all of this new square footage that will be coming online in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe some of it coming online, given some construction and in next year, if things go really smoothly for those projects. So this is good preparation to make sure that those new spaces that will be modern, that will look like the downtown that we want it to be, will get filled promptly because we want those projects to be successful. So thank you very much.
Councilman Shore.
Okay.
No, I'm just going between the sides. We'll get everybody, I promise. Councilman Shore.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be very short here because I agree with all my colleagues here. I think the most important thing is to really get a timeline on each point that's being done. So that this way, as a council, we just, not every meeting we come back and say, where is this? What's status? What's the update? Have a good timeline. So this way we have a calendar of what is going to get done, what's being delayed. So this way we can keep track of it and we can keep moving forward, because I think everybody up here believes in our business, in our community, wants to see it grow and expand and get better. And we can do better. And I think we're going to do better. And I think it's important that we stick to, we get a timeline and we move forward with it. But I agree with everybody here, and then let's just get it going. So thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree again with all my colleagues here. I have to say, as far as a downtown business goes, it's always a changing thing throughout the years. You see businesses come and go, and we've kind of tried to move with them. I'd have to say our town planner has done an excellent job in the last 3-4 years. We just spent a lot of time talking about and changing our town center ordinance to adopt and welcome other types of businesses. And this is someone who looked at, counties around us and brought those ideas into our newly revised town center zoning ordinance. So I think she's done a wonderful job doing it. I do think when it comes to the mayor's point about realtors, there's a different breed, because I know realtors. There's residential, which we have plenty of in Verona, and there's commercial realtors. So I don't know of many commercial realtors that you see along the avenue, but there are some that are specific to this that we should reach out to and maybe have a discussion with them. The chamber has, we did it back in February or early March, had a luncheon with one of our architects that are on the chamber, and the zoning official actually joined us for a couple hours and went through the process. And I was kind of surprised that only 2 people showed up that really, besides other chamber members, there were 2 people that were thinking of opening a business in Verona, and one was extremely happy that they came in and went through it. But I do think the point that bringing people together and getting them an idea of what they have to do to bring business to Verona and simplify that process as much as possible is very important. And I would, to anybody who wants to bring a business, I would say the number one thing you should do, the very first thing you should do, is hire an architect and have that architect check and see what type of business you want to do and go through, they could get you a cost idea of what it also takes to go through a process. But I do think we are moving. We've always moved in the right direction, and everybody's always concerned about businesses, but we have to work with time and change. And I think that's what we're doing here. So I'm happy we're doing something a little further with this.
I appreciate everybody's comments, and appreciate the administration for taking this on. And you'll have our support and some regular benchmarks. And I think getting a timeline out of an exact calendar of when we're going to get all this stuff done would be helpful. I mean, some of this stuff is very easy to do right away, and some of the stuff takes a little bit longer time. But I'm happy to have a Zoom meeting with any of the realtors if we just start calling and saying, hey, we're going to have a Zoom X date. bring folks into Verona. Going into our next discussion, one of the short-term tax abatements was something I've wanted to do for a while. And one of the interesting things is, going back to Councilman McGrath's point, we do have a lot. We will be adding some, town center commercial space in the next couple of years. The Chase Bank property is going to be either sold or leased. Chase, unfortunately, the way that they generally do, they just auction the building if they sell it. From what I understand from some investors, but I've talked to some investors that I know are potentially interested in that property to kind of make sure they knew that it was up and available for potentially for sale or lease. And there is already a pretty significant amount of interest in that building. But what I've been finding is a lot of folks are very interested in investing in Verona if they can do some improvements in the building to make it what fits their model, and allows that property to be more versatile or more upscale or whatever it might be. So our town center, I think, is charming, but it definitely is a little aged in some ways. And that's the rationale behind the short-term tax abatement, is to start to incentivize landlords and business owners to invest money in the physical structures in order to make them more attractive. We find that once we have one really nice building go in, you see investment around it. People want to open businesses near nice businesses, and there's a lot of potential in Verona to improve upon our landscape. So I don't know if Mr. Loya, if you want to give a brief summary of what this does. You've done this in some other towns, or Mr. O'Sullivan, I don't want to step on your toes, but Mr. Loya has obviously done this successfully. So
Sure. So before you was kind of like a draft ordinance, and we'll tighten up the ordinance. And Jen Kieran, our clerk, had pointed out that some of the numbering is off and whatnot. So we'll fix that. But this was just to get you guys thinking. So I also sent you the link to the statute itself. I didn't expect you to read all the law or whatever, but it is kind of short and it's relatively easy. Under 40A:21-5, that deals with dwellings. Dwellings are basically your residential areas. And that gives you the ability to do 5,000, 15,000, or 25,000 of the increase in the assessment, not what they spent on the building, to be exempt for a period of 5 years. So think you redo your kitchen and you spend, $50,000, $60,000 on it, and the assessor comes in and says, "Oh, your house is now worth whatever, $20,000 more," because as you know, when you spend that money, you don't actually get dollar for dollar back. Your house doesn't increase in value as much as it costs to fix, unfortunately. In any event, so those are the choices there. You can also, under B section of that ordinance, actually provide an exemption for some of the taxes they currently pay, right? That 5, 15, or 25 is just on the increase in value. So your taxes don't go down. They just don't go up, or they don't go up more, or they go up, but 25,000 in this case is actually reduced from what they go up. So that's with regard to residential. With regard to commercial, multiple dwellings is under 40A:21-6. Think apartment buildings. That's not really covered in ours. They didn't cover it in the ordinance that you have before you. Just the other town didn't cover it, but it is a spot that you can do it. Under 40A, if you're interested in that, we can talk about that. Under 40A:12A-4, that's residential again, and that's in areas that have been declared in need of rehab. And again, that's the increased value. With commercial, we do the same thing under 40A:21-7 and 6.2. What that does is exempt the new value for 5 years. So in your commercial district, unlike the residential district, which is limited to the 25,000, your commercial is completely exempt for the 5 years. And again, that's on the increase. Those are for improvements. On the construction of new commercial, that's 40A:21-10. That's the complete value. And what happens there is it gets phased in. So it's 0 for the first year, and it goes 20, 40, 60, 80. Now, there are other ways under that statute, which again is 40A:21-10, to do it. But the other ways to do it have to do with formulas and administrative stuff. And I found in my career that most towns are advised by other attorneys, including myself, because I have the same opinion, as others that I've heard give it, is that you want to try and keep this simple, because the other two is the cost basis, which is 2% of the cost of the project, or the gross revenue basis. And they're on a short-term tax abatement. We think when you start to do that, there's an argument that you're trying to start, it's like administrative task, and you're trying to follow through with it and whatnot, and it becomes more difficult. You want not only your commercial and residential homeowners to know what they're getting into, but you also want to make it easy on your administrative staff and not open up a huge bureaucracy where we're trying to get professionals to review what the cost of the project was, what's not included, what is included. And the same thing with gross revenue. You think gross revenue is easy, but again, we have to go through their books to confirm that. So it's much easier, in my opinion, to use C of that statute, which is the phase-in basis. And what happens is the reason you phase it in is because you don't want them to have no taxes. So this is the thought of the law. And then all of a sudden, whack, your taxes go tremendous. So it's slowly phased in, and it's a substantial savings in year one. They just built the brand new building, right? And then it goes down to year 5. But those are kind of the three things. So what I would recommend, and we'll tighten up the language, is that the residential dwellings get up to $25,000. The commercial improvements are completely exempt. And the construction of new commercial has that phase in on the construction. And remember, they're not paying any taxes in year one. So it's different than the improvements, which is the improvements are completely exempt for the first 5 years. If there's any questions.
Councilman Roman?
Let's think specific scenarios. Someone has a one-story commercial building, retail only, and they want to renovate it, put a new facade on it, upgrade the fire sprinklers to current specs, otherwise just modernize the existing building. Another one would be taking an existing commercial building and adding floors of residential apartments above.
Yeah.
So there's two things. One, the first one, I think, is clearly commercial improvements, and meaning you're fixing the facade, you're making some improvements inside. So the new value would be exempt for 5 years. And the second one, like for instance, you can do what I'll call a gut rehab and add 2 more stories to a building or whatever. That will be considered new. So in the law, we look at how much of it's done. I forgot the percentage, but let's pretend it's 80, 90%, and you're keeping like the facade. So a lot of times this happens in towns with historic districts. And you have to actually save the facade of the facility, but the rest of the building is brand new. It's considered a new building. So that would go through your 02468, which is obviously the biggest benefit you can give to the commercial owner.
Okay, and then likewise, I'm sorry, just the last one. Likewise, it would be the same thing if someone tore down an existing building and replaced it.
02468. That's correct. New building.
All right, thank you.
You have a question, Councilman Shu?
Yeah, I was wondering, since we got this like 2 days ago, and there's still a lot of things that I would like to review about it. I read it twice, and I'm still trying to figure out and go through some of the things that are affected by the variables. If there's maybe you can provide maybe a summary on some of this draft ordinance, that would be fantastic. So this way we can really get as much clarity as possible. Like when you said dwellings, I was like, well, what does he mean by that? So I really need to, now I need like a key or something.
So the reason why the law uses the word dwelling is because a townhouse or a condominium that's individual owned is considered a dwelling. So if you fix the inside of that, your taxes aren't going to go up, but not the common areas.
Got it.
So there's a definition for dwelling in the law.
Okay.
But I'll go through and give you a summary. Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Councilman McGrath?
Thank you. So thank you so much for bringing in commercial into the conversation, because when I first read the proposed ordinance quickly, we only declared Bloomfield, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bloomfield Avenue is an area of need of rehabilitation.
That's correct.
And so there's a few residential properties on there, but not many. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk to my peers about today is making sure we are all in agreement on the goals. And I've heard several things that I agree with. We want existing buildings to be upgraded, both their facades, but also inside. We would assume that some of them need new electrical, new plumbing, but we also would like infill development. We would like some of our 1 stories to put on a second or even a 3rd story. That happened at a property on Bloomfield Avenue not that long ago. It looks great, and I believe they added some apartments. And I'm assuming we also want some of our existing 2- and 3-story buildings that have offices to have the ability to convert the offices to residential, which also wouldn't be a bad outcome as well. The more people we get living in our downtown, the better it is for our small businesses, because we have more people who are able to walk. and frequent our businesses. And so this policy needs to align with that. So I agree with bringing in commercial and really thinking through what the commercial piece looks like. And I would love to ask our planner if they have experience with other towns having success with this sort of tax policy. So if we do the commercial piece in particular, which I'm most interested in, is there, like, have towns implemented this need of rehabilitation with the commercial piece and had success? I would love to know that before we go, down this road. I think we do need to put the tax policy with the in need of rehabilitation, but I am curious, like, what was effective in other communities?
When you say success, you mean that the ordinance has been used?
Yes, so the ordinance has been used.
Well, we
That's
can certainly reach out because you actually have to file with the state with everybody who uses it.
Yeah.
And neighboring Bloomfield, I know, has used it. I don't know if they consider it successful, meaning because you can't really tell. One of the things about this is you can't tell if someone would have otherwise built, but it's supposed to encourage the people to make the investments.
Sure, but how many people actually got the abatement?
Got the abatement. Yeah, we
got
can find
the
that out.
abatements.
We'll get you those.
I think would
numbers.
be interesting.
I'd also point out that if you reviewed it all, the law, there's lots of different things you can do here. So my recommendation is to do it. And then if new things happen, we can always amend the ordinance to include more. If for some reason the 02468 doesn't work out and someone comes in and they really need whatever it is, the cost basis or whatever, and it's just the math works out differently, you can certainly amend. And speaking on one of your points is I also recommend that our planner do an area need a rehabilitation study for the entire township. I believe it would actually pass because the things they look at is like the age of the sewer system and things like that. It doesn't mean your township's a wreck. It just means your housing stock and some of your utilities are older. And I think Verona actually fits that bill. Most of our housing stock's a little older. It's not all brand new, as well as our infrastructure. And that will allow us to even in the future give out more benefits and make sure this benefit applies to everybody.
I think my next point was going to be to expand and do an area need of rehabilitation study for the Pompton Avenue corridor.
Yeah.
And for the commercial districts on Depot Street and Grove and
Commerce.
Between Grove and Commerce was the.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one.
Okay. You turn right there. Yeah.
Yes.
Why, Jack? What's the name of that road?
The entrance to the yard.
Grove is Ozone.
Ozone. Thank you. Between Alex and I, we couldn't remember the road. But do it also there. I think I think our priority right now should be to focus on the commercial areas. 100%. Let's see how it goes. I think people are going to make residential improvements no matter what we do, and they have been. And I think the residential improvements, especially because of their impact on schools, if they're adding bedrooms and things like that, I think we need to be very careful as far as any abatement policy related to that. So I think we should definitely do a commercial only approach at this point for sure. But also expand that because I think all the commercial areas of Verona could certainly benefit from this. And I think that we could see some definite improvement throughout town for sure. So that would be my way of approach. I would also just note in here as well that that we should need to change some wording, like township administrator to township manager and stuff like that. Some little type of things. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I had one more point that I forgot to make. You asked in your draft about exceptions. So I do have concerns on, we have some agreements that are related to our affordable housing settlements. So I'm a little concerned about opening up any can of worms on that front. So especially when we
this
were
would be
talking
clear that
about
it's for going forward projects.
going forward. Okay.
Yeah,
We need to make sure that's crystal.
And any existing pilot agreements wouldn't apply anyway, because they're already getting
agreements.
tax relief. So
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Deputy Mayor.
No, thank you. You said exactly what I was going to go after. I don't think the residential aspect of this.
Perfect.
We're not, when we say, we could be specific, we could say town center, extended town center, or we could say just any commercial.
That's the zones will do.
Do we consider,
This way I don't have to tell.
do we
council
consider like a
exactly what
two-family
dwellings
house
are.
a commercial property? It's not, doesn't have that name in the zone.
I don't think we have
but-
a commercial
but commercial.
area for
God
it. That
bless.
just happens to be.
Unless it's on top of a store. Yeah.
So it makes mixed use.
Mixed use.
Yeah.
So
That
mixed
would be
use
mixed
also.
use.
Got it. Okay.
I think going in that direction would be a good way to go.
Mhm.
I also want to make clear that we had a conversation about, adding on, floors and things like that, which can help, but that would still have to go through the planning process and the zoning process. This is just talking about the financial aspect of that. And one of the concerns of downtown is parking. And anytime you add on up, there's a parking concern there. So I just want to clarify for the public that the only thing this does is provides the incentive for improvement. Any other part of the construction or design, so let's go through the planning board and zoning board as appropriate, and any other permitting approvals, which is a good thing. But I'm thrilled that everybody is on board, and I thank you guys for turning around an ordinance so quickly so we could discuss it. But I think now is definitely the right time to work on this, especially as we're doing the streetscape, and hopefully we can just get downtown in much better shape as we go. All right. Okay. And finally, on the addendum items is the selection of the subject matter expert. Mr. O'Sullivan, if you just wanted to give a brief statement as to the, just to remind the public as far as what the purpose or the necessity of how this came out, of bringing in the subject matter expert and what their role is going to be, just briefly. If you...
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. The history of this project has led to a point where there are a number of questions and comments from both the public and from the council. The purpose of the subject matter expert is to provide that expert opinion from a national expert who has done this on a variety of occasions with a variety of different types of projects, to provide some of those critical guidance at critical decision points on the project that we have here in Verona, based on their experience, based upon their expertise in this specific area on public safety buildings. In order to do that, we issued an RFP earlier this summer. We received responses at the end of June, and it led to interviews last week of the top 3 candidates, which will now be the subject of discussion and ultimately an award. That's a very abridged version of the summary.
I think I'll add that one of the pieces of feedback that we got, and I think was in all of our minds regardless, was with the potential price tag of the building, having another set of eyes. And I know there's also discussion of having another cost estimator deal with a lot of the construction costs and things like that. So we have a much better viewpoint to help establish what that number is going to be. And I would also note that one of the questions we also get is about site selection. So therefore we have another party coming in to talk about site selection as well, which is helpful. And the other piece that you'll note from watching the interviews is that this is a relatively normal occurrence to have a subject matter expert support the architect of record on these types of projects, and all of the firms that we interviewed did do that. Councilman?
Just a brief statement. While I am recused on the particular project that was proposed, as I live very close to it, I did have a discussion with our township attorney and received an opinion that the subject matter expert is a separate matter, especially since it considers site location and so on. So I am in a position where I can participate in this decision-making process. So in case you have any questions, that came up earlier in the meeting.
Okay. All right. On that note, we have 3 different organizations that were interviewed. Does anybody have a specific desire, or did they find strength in one or more of the organizations over another? Yes,
Can I just say before, just want to say also to add on is I think it's important to know, and I've had conversations with our town manager, that in the RFP, there was a clear alternative for the property so that every single candidate knew that there might be alternative properties at play, so that when they give a expert opinion, or when they're going for selection or having communication with the administration or the town council, that they are communicating knowing that there are other properties in play, that the current one that we were looking at possibly might not be the one. I think for me really is trust in a firm that we can believe in, and we have to be accountable to them and them to us, along with our administration and to our residents. I think that's extremely important. The cost is extremely important, making sure we select a firm that is worthy of the taxpayer dollars that are going to go into it. So, I mean, for me, I'll go out there and I'll say, I liked all of them. I thought they were all excellent, excellent firms. I like the one that's local to us, the one that really has worked with us before, has some sites already in some other cities. One of the experts, I believe, with Dennis Ross, is really, and I talked to our town manager about this as well. He is really well known in the field. And I think that's an important criteria for us when we're moving forward, is to have somebody that others are looking up to as well. So I thought that firm was really, really good. And I think it's really a start of a process, whether it takes 6 months, a year, whatever it is, a good start to the process. And that's where I'm leaning right now towards that particular firm.
Did you want to name that firm, Mr. Schwartz?
Oh,
Councilman Schwartz?
Didn't I say it?
No, you
No, you didn't. H2M.
Oh, H2M. Sorry. H2M. I thought I said it.
Just so we're all on the same page.
Oh, all right. H2M.
There was almost like a big reveal there for a second.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Councilman Roman?
So-
Everybody else.
Yeah.
do their thing.
So I will agree that, fortunately, it looks like our process of selecting finalists went well, because I did feel that all of the firms had a lot to offer. They all brought forward experts in the field that truly know emergency services. A lot of my hope in this project, we need to come to a realistically constructible situation for the township. I mean, no one doubts the need for taking care of our emergency response facilities, that they are outdated. We recognize that any kind of construction project is always a costly endeavor, but we need to make sure that we are able to do a project at all. And that's the risk, is that if we reach too far, we won't have public support. We won't be in the grounds of something that the township can reasonably finance and achieve. And that's really what I'm hoping to see. That's why I think that a lot of this comes with review of programming, of what type of space do we actually really need in order to accomplish the missions of our departments, because that's going to be a principal cost driver. I really do want to see out of whoever the finalist firm is, a very honest review of what space is necessary. How much square footage do they actually really need? Every business over the last couple of years has drastically reduced its real estate footprint, cutting floor space in half. No one has offices anymore. It's just businesses have just managed to do more with less. And I think that we really do have to optimize to the greatest extent possible. I asked a lot of them about that. That was my question about challenging assumptions, about really telling us, what spaces will truly serve a purpose and which ones will not. Out of the three of them, I really did like what I heard the most from H2M. It's not just that they have a significant presence here. I think that in terms of their overall strategy of working with the elected officials, that level of detailed review of what's necessary, the concepts around site work and trying to figure out how to make buildings less costly to construct. I feel like they offered the greatest breadth of expertise and in-house knowledge in terms of how to get to a project that we're actually going to be able to afford to build. So that's really what sort of drove my thought process. I'll leave it on that.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to prolong this. All three of these were excellent choices. So I commend our manager for picking through and giving us these three and making it a tough decision. But I will agree with my two colleagues that just spoke. H2M to me was just a step above all these other ones. I personally asked a question about other projects locally that they built, and I think H2M was the only one that did any in New Jersey. So I think that's big. New Jersey has really tough building laws. They know it's obviously a densely populated area, so they know design, I think, a little differently than other areas outside of New Jersey. I know this group was a little bit more expensive than the others. However, if you do look up Mr. Ross, you see his experience. Obviously, you have to pay a little bit more for more experience. And in the scheme of things, not that any amount of money is something we should just toss away. I think it's worth it for this project to have someone with his experience and the team behind him on this project. And that's why I was leaning towards H2M also. Thank you.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. So I was not present at the meeting as I had a pre-scheduled vacation that happened when this special meeting happened. But I did watch all 3 hours and 30 minutes of it over the weekend after I returned from my trip.
I bet you enjoyed.
I enjoyed that. I did watch it in installments. I just want to start off with saying I agree with my colleagues. All of the three firms were really impressive. And I learned something and saw their insight on how they operated from each one of them. I do agree that H2M was very strong. They honestly were all very strong. H2M did have kind of the leg up because we had asked them to do an over-the-shoulder analysis a few months ago. But them having building experience in New Jersey is, of course, very important. I loved, one firm already came out of the box with moving the building more to the center of the property. Another firm talked about how the importance of having multi-purpose and flexible spaces. They all were talking about reducing the square footage. One firm even mapped out the typical police officer's day, how he or she would start their shift and where they would have to go in the building in order to get started and how inefficient the current layout is. I was really excited to see these very thoughtful ideas. If my peers want to go with H2M, I think that is more. I think all of these firms are more than sufficient. But I just want to conclude with thanking the residents. The residents really had a lot of thoughtful questions. One husband and wife resident actually wrote an op-ed about the building and the concerns they had with the engineering and design. And it was because of these thoughtful comments that we got into this point where we realized that a subject matter expert would be a good investment and a necessary investment for this project. So I just want to thank the residents for their engagement, for the administration for listening thoughtfully, for all of my peers for their commitment, as I share with them that we really need to get to a workable building for our community that serves the needs of our first responders, but also comes in at a cost that we can afford. Thank you.
Mr. O'Sullivan.
Mayor, I wanted to just jump in and as you are contemplating the firms, I wanted to specify that the fee structure that was proposed from H2M was proposed, and they confirmed earlier today that it would be a time and material contract. They do believe if there was a concern about the fee schedule, that once they get past the schematic review, the program needs, the program space requirements, that they did make some generous assumptions as far as how much time would actually be required in the later phases. They do believe that they will be able to work through their scope more efficiently. And the time and material proposal would allow them, with not to exceed amount that matches their fee schedule, would allow them to potentially provide savings on the final cost of what their fee schedule was submitted at. So while there is a slight discrepancy between their fee submitted and some of the others, with some of those savings that would be effectuated through an efficient work-through process, they would be closer in line to the other fees that were submitted.
Thank you.
Excellent news to hear.
Um,
Working on that.
yeah, I agree. I appreciate the feedback of my peers. I was most impressed by BKV and H2M specifically. I thought there was in one of the firms there was a bit of an oversimplification when they provided some alternate what things look like, and looking at some of the designs, they would be very expensive because of site work, and I felt like BKV and H2M had the good realistic approach and would be able to stand up. So I'm fine with either of those two firms if there is a strong consensus toward H2M. I'm certainly very comfortable, and I agree with the assessment. And I've read Mr. Ross's article that he put out, and I appreciate the recognition that he has not only from people who have worked for him and with him, but also from all the other experts who rely on him for feedback. And I think that it would be very helpful to have. As I think Councilman Roman pointed out, the expert that comes in, and I think all of them were really good with this, was involving the council earlier on. I think one of the mistakes in this process was not involving the council as early as we should have been, as far as things go, and there was a rationale for that. But I think at this point, we need to have those, whether it's a large group meeting or some small group meetings or whatever, to establish some parameters, to establish some limits. I think we need to, as a group, spend some time explaining to this SME and also to our architect of record as well what we need in order to get this project across the finish line, so that they can work on the programming end with our emergency services representatives. But I feel like that's how we probably should have done this in the first place, is to really set some stricter guidelines. But and I think now at this point, we need to provide some clear direction, and maybe perhaps at a future meeting we do that. Once they're hired, they can come in. We can establish some direction, get some clear consensus on what we want them to do, what our priorities for them are, and our solution should be there as well to hear this, and so we can move forward. But I absolutely agree that now that we are taking this next step to get this highly necessary project done, we need to be more at the front of the project, for sure. And I don't know if my fellow council members agree with me on that, but it seems like we have a consensus on that piece. So I think it would be helpful to have that conversation right away. And as soon as this resolution is passed, we reach out and sort of get some of those conversations on the books so that we can have some realistic parameters for solutions and presumably H2M if the resolution passes, in order to do that. Councilman Shore?
Yeah, I mean, just have wasn't expecting really to vote on this tonight, but okay. I have a little bit of reserve about about cost savings. It's nice that I hear that there's going to be some cost savings from H2M, but I really like to see a little bit more detail before, I'm reserved. I mean, obviously I think maybe it's a yes, but I'm reserved because there was such a discrepancy between the one firm and compared to them that I really want to know what kind of savings before we move forward, because we have to be very cost sensitive about what we're passing. And so I think that's important. So if we pass something tonight, I really want a kind of a promise that, the cost savings that they're talking about is really a cost savings and more towards some of the other the firms that actually that bidded for this particular assignment.
Mayor, if I could just respond. So I do think that while there are savings and while those savings are non-specific at this point until we have more discussion and we see how efficient the scope is that they work through, I will say that the range of the bids that were submitted range from 90,000 to 200,000. So I would say that the range that H2M submitted, approximately 135,000, it is within the range of the higher end professionals that were selected for these interviews. So while they are not the lowest, they are also well below the highest bid that was submitted as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think that you pay a premium to have an organization that has more familiarity with New Jersey, because our wages are just higher in New Jersey than in Minnesota or wherever the other firms are based. So I think you definitely pay a premium for that, and that's a decision that I think we have to make is that premium that we're paying, and obviously there'll be some savings when you put this into a 30 to whatever X number of $1 million building. It's a smaller amount, but if we have an organization that is very focused on and very knowledgeable of construction in New Jersey and the themes and the issues. One of the interesting things that we saw from some of the other companies was that they're typically used to building buildings on large swaths of land. They're not as used to building on these smaller pieces. And I think that's one thing that H2M was certainly stronger with as well. So I think with that cost savings, and I think with their specific knowledge of the New Jersey emergency services landscape and the construction landscape, that's what you pay the premium for. So just my thought, but yeah. Any other comments, thoughts, Deputy Mayor?
Just a quick comment. I mean, this is the important part of the stage, is the finalization of plans. And this is where, if it's done improperly, this is where you spend more money on the back end, changing things around and having to redo things. So for me, and I said it several times during the interviews, this is having a second set of eyes on this and really fine tuning these plans is very, very important. And I really think that H2M and being as involved, they're right in Patterson or wherever
Parsippany.
No, their office is in Parsippany, but they just did the police building in Patterson. I think is, testimony that that's what they do. And I think it's important that they're local. We also have to factor in where these other firms were. It is very possible that we might need their principals to come out and look at things. And I was worried that on the back end, you get hit with travel expenses that may, make this an even move across the board as far as what their bids were. So that's all. Thank you.
Councilman Ron?
Thank you. I'll also just note on the cost concern is that one of the somewhat lower, not lowest bidder, had sort of a variable scale for additional meetings beyond the few that were proposed in their proposal, where a meeting requiring an overnight stay for two people would end up costing us, I think, on the order of about $4,000 is the number that sticks in my head. Thinking you do a few of those and all of a sudden you're sort of right up where you are. If H2M is doing this on a fee not to exceed basis and saying they can gain some efficiencies in time, we'll end up probably in a good place. But I agree that just a project of this scale and scope, you need the right advice. I'm assuming I'm not the only person up here who's sort of wishing that we had these folks on board, earlier. I think that this is one where we have to pick the right expert to advise us on our needs that can also have, this is where that New Jersey centric view does come into play a little bit, is construction in this part of the country is costly no matter what. It is difficult. The strategies to manage construction costs are not the same as they are in other parts of the country. So that is somewhat useful here. But I am okay with paying a little bit more in order to get the expert that we truly want here, with hopes that we'll manage throughout the process.
So Deputy Mayor, just add that I am okay if we want to move forward with this resolution tonight. This way we can get them on board.
Okay. Well, we have a resolution before us. I don't know what we're calling this resolution, M1C. Would somebody like to move the ordinance with the award to H2M?
So moved.
Second.
Just adjust the center and cross out the other two.
Okay. The motion is made by the Deputy Mayor.
I'll second.
The second is made by Councilman Shore. And at this time, I'll open for public comment on this resolution only. Hearing none, close public comment. Council discussion. We've had a pretty good discussion.
We have.
Just note that once again, it is a not to exceed. And my only discussion is I look forward to getting this project in motion and reporting back to the public. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Shore,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolution will be numbered 2026-182, passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have our last public comment session of the evening. Same public comment statement applies. Hearing none and seeing no public comment, I close public comment. Oh, sorry.
We got it.
We have Kevin Ryan. Kevin, you just jumped right in.
Sorry,
so-
hold on. I should have known when I saw it.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Muted.
Kevin Ryan, Verona, New Jersey. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, but I was very happy to hear of all the discussion about the development of Bloomfield Avenue. And I noted that the mayor dropped in the conversation that the Chase Bank building was going to be closing as of October 6th. I don't know how much of a general information that was, but I just wanted to express some concern over what may happen to that building. I know it's located next to the town center, which is designated, I believe, as a historic business. So hopefully, if there's any way that we can do something to at least landmark the facade of that building, since it really abuts the historic district. Hopefully, the Landmarks Preservation Commission or somebody can look into that. I also noted that in Caldwell, it looks like a number of the older bank buildings, at least two of them, I believe, one of them may be called Grover House, they at least have maintained the facade of the building and have, retrofitted it to meet more modern needs. But hopefully somebody in the administration might be looking into that to see if that's something that we can play a role in here in Verona. And thank you. And one last comment. The Councilwoman McGrath commented the two people who gave thoughtful comments on the public safety building. I would also just like to remind all of you that we had a great town hall meeting prior to that when the building was first announced, and we had a number of very thoughtful people who got up and in the midst of expressing outrage over the overall cost, made some very, I thought, useful comments on the project. I just wanted to get that in. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Jess, Zoom? No, not anymore.
I didn't load the hand, but there we go. Can't get this to stay. There we go.
Good evening, Council. Jessica Pearson, Verona. I was surprised and also kind of happy to see discussion on the short-term tax abatement program after having declared Bloomfield Avenue, the whole corridor, as a matter of fact, an area in need of rehab. However, I am a little concerned, and I do want to express it. I was happy to hear that you said commercial only. I agree with that. I don't really see a need to abate, as you said, all of the improvements happening regardless to all of the single family and multifamily homes. But I do want to just express a little concern with a lot of the mixed use buildings that may come into play, and the tax abatement could bring a lot of new residents with children into the school systems. So I just think that you could be challenged at that level. And I just wanted to hear how you planned, if the plan exists at all, to, I guess, delineate between those two types of properties, between the mixed-use properties and the strictly commercial. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have the volume up. So,
All right. At this point, I close public comment. To former Mayor Ryan, I appreciate your comments. As far as landmarking that building in Verona, we can only landmark with the permission of the building owner. So I don't know if we would have agreement from Chase when they're trying to sell the building. If that could happen. So in fact, I think that would be limited, unfortunately, but something that certainly we can look into or have a conversation with whoever buys it as another conversation there. But I know that a lot of the attractiveness of that building is because it is a really nice, neat old building. To at least some of the folks that I've talked to that are interested in the building. And also it has like 30 deeded parking spaces, which makes it really attractive as another piece of that. But of the couple folks that I talked to that had expressed interest over the years, they definitely wanted to keep the facade of the building and improve it. But obviously I can't, if the building goes to auction, not sure what would happen with that as well. And I thank you for acknowledging all of the residents who write feedback. I know I've been on the phone and met with residents a lot. The Deputy Mayor McAvoy and I actually sat down for 3 hours with the folks that wrote that op-ed and had a really extensive conversation and had an awesome dialogue that helped to get some comments back to the administration and helped to inform some of the questions that we asked at our August meeting. So that was great, and we had a great time sitting down with them for sure. And so that certainly helps. Going to Ms. Pearson's comment, I think that I agree with you as far as the concern on the mixed-use buildings, and hopefully Mr. Loya will have some suggestions on that when we see the revised draft of that. But I agree that we have to be careful to balance that, and that's what I think there are some kind of built-in barriers related to that, especially with parking and things like that require planning approval and zoning approval. So I think that this probably won't be as widespread maybe as we have, and in fact, we probably see more conversion than anything else. But I agree with you on that, and I don't think any of this will get in the way of any of our zoning or planning approvals. Certainly there might be more requests for relief under variances, but at the same time, I don't know if they'll be that significant, but there could be another formula that we look at for anything that adds residential space that could be a little different. And Mr. Loya could come up with some suggestions that we can have. It's always good to have a couple options. So thank you for that. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. And just to add to that thought, that's why it's important to get some experience from other communities that have done the tax abatement to see, did it actually generate projects and what kind of projects? And that may be able to put the fear to rest that it won't be a series of 3-bedroom apartments created. It's much more likely that it's going to be a bunch of studios or 1-bedrooms, or maybe none of these conversions will happen. And it's just a bunch of facade improvements, which we need, and updated to mechanical and plumbing and electrical, which is needed. because we have such an old housing and commercial stock. And, I think it's really, I want to thank former Mayor Ryan. As I had mentioned in my comments, yes, people wrote op-eds. There was that robust town hall, and residents gave a lot of feedback for, multiple years now on this project, and I appreciate it all. I also sat down with, those knowledgeable residents and had extensive conversations with them. I know former Councilwoman Holland did as well. So I think it's great. We have such an engaged council. We have such an engaged electorate. I'm really excited to be part of this project moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Loya, is there a way that we could put into that ordinance that the incentive would apply only for one-bedroom apartments, one bedroom in a den, something like that?
You can certainly amend the ordinance, or you can draft an ordinance, not amend it. You haven't written it yet. You can have it so it's only limited to certain buildings. I'll see if we can limit it to something like that. So you can just do commercial, not the residential component, but whether you can just limit it to one bedrooms, we'll see.
Might help to allay those concerns that we have.
Yeah.
So. All right. Okay. At this point, we'll move on to executive session. Formal action may be taken following executive session, but the public is excused from the meeting at this time. We will reconvene. All right. Well, that makes things easier. All right. We have reconvened into public session at 9:50 p.m. Madam Clerk, we have an ordinance, a resolution, sorry, it's late. Mr. Loya, would you like to just read the resolution into the record?
Sure. Do you want to move it first and have a second?
Well, if you can read it into the record.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, before we move it.
Resolution reads, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Verona in the County of Essex, New Jersey, that the Township Manager is authorized to execute a settlement agreement with La Bella Princess Cafe, 555 Bloomfield Avenue, allowing the business to open pending review of a variance application filed on the business's behalf, contingent upon the execution of the settlement agreement requiring the cafe to be open to the general public a minimum of 25 hours per week as outlined in the settlement agreement.
Somebody like to move the resolution?
So moved.
Motion is made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second is by Councilwoman McGrath. This time, we'll public comment on this resolution only. Same public comment statement applies. Seeing no public comment, I close public comment. Oh, sorry.
I just want you. Martha Peralta, Business Verona, New Jersey. I have a question in reference to the agreement for the month of, I just want to clarify, for the month of August, it was 25 hours, correct? And then starting September 1st, it went down to more evening hours, late afternoon hours, since we cater to children 95% of the time. And then on the weekends, we would still be open to the public, but more for experiences and still have the cafe times and stuff like that at our discretion. I just want to clarify that.
We can't respond to you until your comment is concluded and public comment is closed.
And then there was just something that was brought up to my attention in reference to saying that I originally started as a cafe and then later I turned into something else. In my permit, it specifically states that it was always themed events for private as well as open to the public, and then also limited on-site food. So that's just something, I have the permit here in front of me. I just want to make sure that that's clear and clarified. And also, our business model has always been the themed parties, having us open, and then it's usually on the weekends, having us open, let's say 25 hours a day during the week, plus the weekend would have me working 7 days a week, which is impossible for a small business. And we offer experiences, not just someone coming in for a cup of coffee. So it would be detrimental to my business if we are forced to do that. And Yes, just I wanted to mention those things, and if we're not able to open it, also, basically ruins our business as well, because we know that the variance could take, usually more than a month. And that's all I wanted to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. This point of closed public comment. Mr. Loya, if you.
Yeah, at this point in time, as the council knows, this matter is potentially pending litigation. I've been in contact with the business's attorney. The council has approved a settlement agreement, so it's clear to the business owner who's here today with some amendments. The attorney will get that, I'm sure, meet with his client, and we'll go forward from there.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman Shore,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, this resolution will be number 2026-183. That's all I got.
Okay. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion. Actually, I'm sorry. We have one last public comment period. I'm sorry. Actually, we did that already.
I did it. Yep.
Oof. Okay. We don't normally do the
After close.
after executive and come back. This time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second's by Councilwoman McGrath. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries.